So now everyone's saying to boycott Nestle because Nestle is still doing business in Russia. And apparently, according to everyone, Russia is a terrorist country because they waged war against a sovereign country and they're trying to take over another country. They're calling it a war of aggression. They're calling it a crime against humanity. They're calling it a very bad strategic move, a terrorist attack. They're basically using the strongest language to condemn the invasion, which, you know, it's a good thing that they're good doing that. I think I think war in general is definitely something that we should avoid, but we have to kind of look at the hypocrisy surrounding this whole thing. Like, look at how they reacted to the Americans attacking Afghanistan and attacking Iran and not Iran but Iraq. What about the Iraq war? What about the bombing of Syrian refugees and blowing up the whole country just so you can make some oil and so you can make some money from oil purchases and constantly invading other countries, destabilizing the entire Middle East, bombing people to death, sending drone strikes against people, constantly fucking bombing houses to the ground, destroying people's infrastructure. I'm not trying to justify Vladimir Putin's actions by comparing them to the well, I'm comparing them to the West because it's a very good comparison. It's basically the same thing, but it's really just a double standard. The Syrian refugees weren't allowed to go to England or leave their refugee camps. They were herded in like cattle into these fucking pens like animals. And then when you look at the contrast with the Ukrainian refugees, it's like they're treated like gods and they're kind of like helped a lot more. And all these other surrounding countries like Poland and what else? What other countries are there like that are taking in the refugees? I don't know, like the Baltic states or fucking Romania or Hungary. These countries are all like, well, actually, I give props to Romania and Hungary because they took in the black refugees that were running away from Ukraine. But if you look at how the media is handling this and how everyone is reacting to the black people trying to leave, they're all like, oh, they're just helping their people first and it's normal, it's tribalism, it's not racist. And then now they want to boycott Nestle. Isn't it crazy how there's such a big double standard? I mean, if you're going to be against this war, why can't you be against all war in general? But you won't be because you're a hypocrite. You're a hypocrite. You are a hypocrite. You didn't condemn the American invasion of Iraq. You didn't condemn the American invasion of Afghanistan. You did not condemn the twin bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, which I don't. I'll take that back. Hiroshima and Nagasaki wasn't really a morally bad thing to do because hundreds of thousands of men would have died if they actually attacked the Japanese mainland with Operation Downfall. So I'll take that back. That was probably the better thing to do because you would have lost more men if you didn't. So saving more lives, that's, it's, I can understand it, but I can't really condone it because you still fucking destroyed like hundreds of thousands of people, contaminated the entire area with radiation. So it couldn't be inhabited for many different years, maybe even decades, because the radiation would stay for such a long time. So you kind of devastated the whole ecosystem too. Everything. You devastated the entire city, destroyed it in a matter of seconds. And these guys are complaining and pointing the finger? I mean, that's like such a contradiction. Like, damn. I mean, when you really analyze how these Western companies look at things, it's pretty interesting the way the world works. When it's like, let me give you guys an analogy. It's like someone does something, you see them do it. It's like a bully in the yard. He's taking lunch. He's taking the lunch money from the kid every day. And then the other bigger bully comes and takes the lunch from the other bully. So it's really a circular thing. And it's like one person does something, there's a reaction. But to be honest, like the Americans, they're really not, they don't have any moral ground to stand on. Let's be honest. Like look at how many countries they've devastated and bombed to pieces and destroyed. seek and destroy. Like they've killed so many people, and these guys are giving us a moral lecture. I just don't. I don't get it. It really doesn't make any sense to me. Now, am I gonna boycott Nestle? I mean, I don't even eat any Nestle products, anyways. You know, it's like, oh, I actually do like Kit Kats and stuff like that. I kind of like eating Kit Kats. I'm still gonna eat Kit Kats. I don't really care. What else is there that I eat? Well, I mean, there's really nothing else on this little screenshot that they made. So their logic is let's boycott Nestle. So they're saying boycott Nestle because they're funding the Russians. Okay, so why didn't you boycott Nestle when the Americans invaded Iraq? Why didn't you boycott Nestle when the Americans bombed Afghanistan? Like, I just, it's interesting how everything is it's interesting. It's really interesting the way the world works, you know? You can be a hypocrite, you can be a lying piece of shit, you can be a lying sack of shit, but no one's gonna care because when you control the media and you have a monopoly on the media and you're able to wage a warfare of misinformation, disinformation, propaganda, you're able to control who sees everything. You're able to control the internet basically. Like you're able to control how information is given to people, and you're able to twist the facts because none of us are on the ground in Ukraine. None of us know what's going on down there. None of us know the real reason why Putin invaded. All we know is what the media is telling us. The media is telling us that Putin bad and the West is good, even though their actions have shown that they're not good. But the masses are going to believe whatever the media tells them. You know, that's just unavoidable. Most people are sheep. They'll just believe whatever the politicians tell them or the media tells them. And they're happy because questioning everything and constantly thinking that, when you question everything and you're like, oh, this doesn't sound right, you're looked at as a weirdo because you're not following what the masses are doing, what the mainstream media is pushing out. You're not following that. You're not brainwashed like everyone else, and then everyone else is looking at you like you're crazy, even though they're crazy because they're believing anything they see on the internet. Whatever they see on the internet, they believe it. I mean, I honestly wish I was that ignorant because ignorance is bliss. Like, you're able to just keep doing what you're doing, and if you actually found out the real truth, you wouldn't like the truth. You don't even honestly, there's also a mixture of people don't want the truth. That's also another part of it. Like honestly, nobody really wants the truth. That's why politicians lie. I mean, they're kind of in a culture and an environment to where they kind of have to lie and be a piece of shit to succeed because the climate demands it. Everyone's just doing whatever everyone else is doing, following what the latest trend, and he's got a tattoo, oh, that looks good, let me get that tattoo. No one even wants to get a unique tattoo these days. Everyone just wants to get the tattoos that everyone else is getting. And then not just the tattoos, it's like everyone wants to get the same job that everyone gets, or everyone's aspiring to become this doctor, or everyone's aspiring to make it on YouTube or be viral. And it's like this rat race that never ends and constantly demanding more and more and more. And then, it's crazy how much impact the media has over people. I mean, even the media has impact over me because I get the same information from the internet that you guys get. I mean, I don't get any special information, but the difference between me and the masses is I actually do my research before I open my mouth and give my opinion on something. I actually do my research and I look at information from two different perspectives and I try to give my own opinion on it based on what I see and I'm never gonna know the truth. I have to accept that also. Like, I'm never gonna know the full truth. They're never gonna tell me what actually happened or what really happened because, I mean, I want to know the truth, but the majority of people don't really want to know the truth. People just want to hear sweet nothings, and they don't want to hear what actually happens. They don't want the truth. And it's war, I understand, like, propaganda is part of war. Like, it's always going to be like that. You have to try and keep the morale of the population high. so that you can resist the invasion. So that's, that's part of the game. Like the Soviets were good at propaganda too. The Nazis were good at propaganda. Joseph Goebbels was excellent at propaganda. And that was kind of how he was able to galvanize the support of the German public to keep fighting in the war, even though the war was hopelessly lost. So, it's part of the game. I don't really have any ill will to these media companies that do these videos and make like these lies and stuff. Like, I don't really have anything against them. Like, that's their job. They're supposed to do that. They're supposed to lie to you guys. Because even if they told you the truth, you wouldn't like the truth. You don't want the truth. That's the real truth, to be honest. Most people don't really want the truth. They just want to hear what they want to hear, and that's it, So if you guys really knew the truth, you would react completely differently to the situation. And there's also a little bit of embellishment there. Like the media, they have to kind of make money and stuff like that, and that's part of the game. So, I mean, everyone has to make money to make a living, which is true, but when your whole system is tied into AdSense revenue and sponsorships, you have to kind of say whatever the boss wants you to say. Like you have to sing that tune. You can't just have your own opinion when you're working for these media companies. The people that work for them, these anchors and these other motherfuckers, they're all puppets. They're all puppets being used as a pawn in this game of life, which, everyone's a puppet in some way, right? Everyone's a fucking puppet in some degree. I'm a fucking puppet too. I'm kind of tied to this financial system too. We're all puppets in a way, but there's degrees to it. Like there's people that are bigger puppets than others. There's people that know they're puppets. At least they know they're puppets, and they're trying to change something about it. But the masses, generally, they're just gonna believe whatever the majority of the people believe, and they're gonna like take it as fact, and they're not gonna do their research, and because they're like, oh, it takes too much time, and I'll just take what the media tells me and I'll believe it because it's easy to just do that and then spend maybe 1 hour looking at different sources of information, try to tie all the information together, look at it from different perspectives, see if both sources are correct. That just takes too much work. Most people are lazy. That's another aspect to it. Most people are very lazy, so they're not too introspective. Like they're not willing to like really think about how the situation is playing out. Like they just want to believe whatever everyone else believes, and it's fun, it's great. Like you can just have the same opinions as everyone else, and everyone's gonna invite you into their little club, and their little club is just gonna be part of all these other people that have the same opinions, and they're happy because they have people that think the same way they do. Like groupthink. That's what the term groupthink basically means. Like you surround yourself with all these other people, and then you're like inside this little bubble. You're inside this little bubble, and like all the information is just going from one. You're not looking at the information from different perspectives. You're living in your own echo chamber. Your echo chamber. Like you're just saying the same thing over and over again, like parroting the same talking points that the media is using when you're talking to your friends and family or whatever. It's bullshit, and it is what it is. The masses are always gonna do that, which that's just whatever. Like, I mean, Goebbels also said another thing when he was the propaganda minister of Nazi Germany. He said, if you repeat a lie enough times and you say it loud enough, then people will start to believe it, And, he was able to control the media. If you control the media, you can control the narrative. Like, it's so powerful. Like, the media is so powerful. If you control the media, you can control the narrative. Then you can shape how the people think and what they believe and how they look at certain things. Like, you can literally shape the narrative to fit your own agenda, and then you can just make more money off that, which, it's an excellent model. It's worked for decades, right? Like centuries. This is how it's worked. So I'm not surprised, and it's probably never going to change, even though it is kind of harder to spread misinformation these days. Well, actually, that's a double-edged sword, actually. I think it's harder to spread misinformation, and it's also easier to spread misinformation than ever because information is at our fingertips. We just have to type it into Google and we'll find the answer. But yeah, I'm done with this video. I kind of had my little rant. So thank you guys for watching. For the 10 people watching, I appreciate all of you guys. I'm out. Peace.